So it's a second antitrust case against Google in 2 months, and now they're fighting 2 lawsuits at the same time. So one in D.C. defending their online search dominance, and now this Epic case in a Northern California court. And analysts are concerned that something might have to change with Google's lucrative business model as a result. So this case is pretty similar to the Epic versus Apple store showdown, that App Store showdown back in 2020. And back then they argued that the 15 to 30% commissions that Google and Apple charge are unfair and an effective tax, as Elon Musk has called it. So this time, Epic thinks they have a much better chance of winning in front of a jury instead of just one single judge in that Apple case. Now, Google's already fighting, as I mentioned, 2 fronts, but also possibly a third lawsuit could be filed next year, and that alleges that Google illegally forces companies to use their advertising technology forced by their digital dominance. So Google CEO Sundar Pichai already testified last week in the D.C. antitrust case, likely to be called to the stand in this Epic case as well. And Google argues that Epic simply wants all the benefits that Android and Google Play provide without having to pay for them. And that's pretty much the same argument that you heard from Apple. And Apple largely won that case against Epic a few years ago. The only changes they had to make was to allow companies to offer customers outside links to pay outside of the App Store so they don't capture that 50 and 30% commission. But all these big tech lawsuits, so one effect so far is they have pretty much killed any deals or acquisitions that these tech companies have even remotely been interested in. So think of, all this talk of Apple buying Disney. Not going to happen, especially not in this regulatory climate, as Bob Iger said, and really for most deals since that Microsoft Activision deal barely got across the finish line. Still being sued by the FTC there.
But I think that's a shame. That money could do a great deal of good if you spread it around to developing companies.
And who has all the money in this tight, high interest rate environment? It's the tech companies.
Yep.
With all these lawsuits, you've killed any talk of deals and these companies being sold from mergers and acquisitions.
You got it. It's a shame. There you go. We're going after the crown jewels of American business, in my opinion. Susan, great stuff.